How Joseph Kony ordered the execution of his own deputy, the chilling death of Vincent Otti. In the shadowy world of warlords and rebel movement, loyalty is often double-edged sword. One day you are the second most powerful man in the room, the next you are gone without a trace. This is the story of Vincent Otti, the former deputy of the Lord Resistance Army (LRA), who rose to power under Joseph Kony only to be executed on Joseph Kony's direct order. For years, his death was shrouded in mystery. Now, thanks to eyewitnesses' account and detailed testimony presented before International Criminal Court (ICC), the truth is final and revealing. This video dives deep into the chilling event leading to OT execution and brutal nature of power struggle within the rebel leadership. Who was Vincent Otti? Vincent Otti was one of the highest ranking officials in Lord Resistance Army, a brutal rebel group infamous for its widespread atrocity in northern Uganda, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo. As Kony's second in command, Otti was deeply involved in the planning, execution of groups' campaign, including mass abduction, mutilation, and massacres. Despite being indicted by ICC for war crimes and crimes against humanity, Otti took a surprising turn in the mid-2000s. He became a prominent advocate for the Juba peace talk between Uganda government and LRA. This apparent shift from warfare to diplomacy ultimately marked him for death. The tension within the LRA leadership. While Otti's support for the peace process was welcomed by international observers, it deeply unsettled Joseph Kony. Kony, known for his erratic behavior, suspicion of betrayal, began to view OT advocacy as a potential threat to his power. The idea of peace meant disbanding the LRA brutal operation, something Kony had no intention of doing. Rumors of OT betrayal began to spread within the inner circle of LRA. Accusations surfaced that he was secretly negotiating with foreign powers, planning to defect, or was plotting a coup to overthrow Joseph Kony. Though these claims lacked clear evidence, they were enough for Kony to act with deadly certainty. October 2007, disappearance. By October 2007, Otti had vanished from public view. For months, his whereabouts remained a mystery. The LRA leadership stayed silent, refusing to confirm or deny report of his death. Speculation mounted. Some claimed he had been imprisoned, others suggested he had escaped, while a few whispered he had been executed. Eventually, it became clear that Otti had been killed, not by foreign enemy or during battle, but on direct orders of the very man he once served loyally, Joseph Kony. The witness testimony revealed the truth. The truth behind Otti's death emerged slowly, piece by piece, through witness testimony presented at International Criminal Court. Several former LRA members testified under anonymity due to the fear of reprisal, recounted what happened in the days leading to Otti's execution. One witness revealed that Otti was summoned to a meeting of the LRA High Command in Garamba National Park, located in Democratic Republic of Congo. What was supposed to be leadership gathering turned to be a setup. Upon arrival, Otti was arrested and detained. He was accused of plotting to escape, communicating with enemies, and undermining Kony's authority. Other witnesses testified that Kony personally ordered the execution. In one chilling account, a former LRA officer recalled Kony saying that Otti must be killed before he had a chance to speak, fearing that allowing him to talk would soften Kony's resolve. The order was delivered. Otti and several of his close aides were to be shot immediately. Gunshots were heard near the LRA camp. None of the men seen going with Otti was ever seen again. Days later, Kony reportedly told the other commander that Otti had been executed in subordination and treason. ICC terminated proceedings against Otti. In November 2023, the International Criminal Court officially terminated the legal proceeding against Vincent Otti. The court concluded that Otti had died in October 2007 based on a wide array of testimony and evidence. Although his body was never recovered, The overwhelming consistency in witness account left no doubt at its fate. The legal termination was not declaration of innocence, but rather recognition that the deceased person cannot stand trial. Otti, once indicted for war crimes, was removed from the case file because he was no longer alive to answer charges. The court decision bring a closer to one of the most mysterious disappearances within LRA and reaffirms the importance of truth-seeking mechanism in international justice. Why this matters? Vincent Otti execution is not just an internal matter of rebel group. It offers a window into paranoid, violent nature of insurgent leadership. His death illustrates the dangers of power struggles, even among those at the very top. It also highlights how calls for peace in volatile war-torn environment can be perceived as betrayal rather than progress. For decades, LRA reign of terror went largely unchallenged. The fact that Otti was executed for pursuing peace showed the challenges faced by those who dare to think differently in the authoritarian militant structure. His story serves as both cautionary tale and a symbol of high stake involved in negotiating peace in regions controlled by armed groups. The broader impact of LRA. Following the Otik's execution, LRA leadership was further destabilized. Several commanders defected, fearing they could be next. The internal distrust and lack of unity weakened the group operation, contributed to its decline. Though Kony remained in hiding, the group capacity for widespread attack was never the same after 2007. The death of key figures like Otti also exposed contradiction within LRA. While its leaders publicly engaged in peace negotiations, they simultaneously eliminated anyone perceived as compromising the group's control. This duality made it clear to international observers that LRA was not a unified front seeking peace, but a fractured autocratic organization led by fear. Final thought. Vincent Otti's death was more than an act of internal discipline. It was calculated purge driven by fear, ego, and power. Joseph Kony's want to execute his own deputy underscore brutality, reality, how authoritarian rule within the militant groups. Otti, once a loyal commander, became a threat the moment he embraced diplomacy. Silence that followed Otti's execution lasted for years, but justice, even when delayed, has a way of surfacing. Thanks to courageous witnesses and diligent legal processes, the truth was finally brought to light. While Otti may never face judgment for his role in NRA crimes, his death now serves as a documented example how such movements devour their own. As more witnesses come forward and as legal system continue to press for accountability, the world remain reminded that no one, not even those in the highest rank, is beyond reach. In the end, Vincent Otti's execution tells us not only about the man who died, but the system that killed him. A system built on control, fear, and relenting pursuit of power.